Welcome back to the Brothers War ADH. My name is Ryan. This is Chris. Here with another Brewers Advantage. And Chris, I gotta tell you, this deck is super weird. This
Mm,
deck had me in a comatose and made me trip. We're going
get
over
out of here.
Borborygmos and Fblthp. What do you think about that?
Gosh.
Anyways, bad joke. But that's the thing, that this deck is really weird. We'll get to it in a second. But before we do that, if I can please ask you to subscribe to the channel, like the video.
I just want to shout out, we went over and we covered Cadena a couple weeks ago, and lo and behold, Cadena takes down a tournament. And
Right.
I thought that was pretty cool that we spoke it into existence, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Spicy Brews coming up to
it
the top,
is.
baby.
Yeah, it is funny that, and it happened to be the same person too, which I thought
Yeah.
was funny. So,
Yeah.
I think it's Radix. I
Yeah,
think it's who it was.
Rajix.
So,
Yeah,
congratulations, Radix, on your
mm-hmm.
win with that deck. You went from like 32nd place to first place in that tournament. So,
Wow, that's really good with a deck that nobody has seen before.
oh yeah, yeah, and maybe the deck right now that we're gonna be talking about.
Maybe the new deck.
Yeah. Maybe this new deck can
New
be
kid
able
on
to
the
get in
block.
there. Yeah. Yep,
Okay.
it's a crazy one. But yeah, we also wanted to mention too that we are going to be in Colombia for March Madness 24.
Mm-hmm.
Next Saturday. We're going over there for the tournament, so hope to see you all there. Hope to get some friendlies in. And with that being said, let's get into this deck. So the deck we're talking about today, Borborygmos and Fblthp, it is a 2 colorless and teamer for a 6/5 legendary Cyclops homunculus. Whenever Borborygmos and Fblthp enters the battlefield or attacks, draw a card. Then you may discard a number of land cards. Then, when you discard one or more land cards this way, Borborygmos and Fblthp deals twice that much damage to target creature, and then you can do one in a blue to put it on, to put it into its owner's library, third from the top. When you told me about this deck, I looked at this card. Before looking at the deck, I was like, "What in the world is this? Why would somebody play this?" But then, you start to realize,
All you have to see
whatever.
on a commander, all you have to see on a blue or green commander is when it enters the battlefield, draw a card, and you have an
Right.
infinite
That's what I was gonna say. Like,
Yeah.
if it enters and does something, then it's probably gonna be an outlet. And in this case, it draws your deck.
Yeah.
Which we definitely like commanders like this. You're in teamer, so you get to play a lot of really, really good cards. And we're about to go into those right here. The second ability is like, you might find cases where that might be relevant. Like, let's say somebody randomly is like, okay, or sorry, you have like Thassa's Oracle on the stack. So someone force you to like draw one card. It's like, all right, well, I'll put this third from the top, and then I guess that saves you. So it's something small, but really the first ability is what you're gonna be looking at. And we were talking about this a little bit ago, but it is kind of removal. If you discard one land, you deal 2 damage, and that's pretty much deals with a lot of creatures in this format. So it's something. But you're probably just gonna be using it as an outlet in the command zone. So whenever we're looking at this deck, there's a lot of weird stuff in this deck. But one thing that we kind of came to the conclusion of is that it's playing a lot of like classic infinite combos if you have green, blue, or red. So some of the infinites that they have here, as far as mana goes, they have Temur Sabertooth with like Dockside. You also have Deadeye Navigator and Dockside, and basically infinite mana like that can be able to, you can use to basically, well, draw your deck with freaking Fblthp. But you also have some stuff like Displacer Kitten in here. Like if you needed another way to like bounce something to like get infinite value, like Recruiter finds creatures for you. You can also find Squee, and when you see Squee in a deck, you automatically know that this is going to be also a food chain deck. For those that don't know what food chain is, it says exile a creature you control at X mana of any one color, where X is 1 plus the exile creature's mana value. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells. So food chain plus squee. Because you can cast squee from exile, it means you can basically net 1 mana each time you do this, and you can use that mana to cast your creatures. In this case, would be Borborygmos and Fblthp to draw your deck. So there's ways, there's a few ways to get infinite mana in here. There's some layering that goes into it. So how are you gonna win in this deck, Chris?
Well, there's a couple of ways. I just noted we both came into this blind, so we're kind of just looking at this list and kind of putting the pieces together. But what I do notice here is there's a Neoform in the list, and the commander costs 5, which means there's got to be some 6-drops in the list, right?
Yep.
What are some powerful 6-drops that are sitting in this list, Ryan?
Well, you got Dead Eye Navigator. That's a combo piece.
Yep, combo piece.
Consecrated Sphinx. There's 1 6-mana card in here, which Aidan, if you watch this, I would love to hear your thoughts on this card.
Yes,
I've honestly never even heard of this card before in my life until this list. Tomorrow is Zombie's Familiar. It's a 6-drop. If you would draw a card, look at the top 3 cards of your library instead. Put one of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library.
There's got to be something here, but the only thing I can think of is that it's Bowmaster's. It's like could stop, Bowmaster triggers or Notion Thief. It's just I don't know. Like I don't see much in here for this, and I've been searching. Been searching. I mean, again, the Thassa's Oracle thing. Like if you do draw your whole deck, it stops you from actually draw. Like if you played this card and then you played Thassa's Oracle, nobody can do like a gotcha thing and make you draw more cards without you losing and stuff like that. So I just don't know.
Is it see here's the thing too, is that because there's also Niv Mizzet Perun Tandem Lookout, which if these two are paired together, basically this is like Curiosity combo right here.
Yeah.
But the thing is though, is that like Tomorrow basically stops that combo completely. Yeah. So it's a weird one.
Yeah. It's a weird one. Please tell us your. We know there's got to be something missing here.
Yeah, there's got to be something.
If we're not missing anything, and this is like a pet card or something like that, all power to you for sure.
Yeah, it could be. But yeah, like that's how you're gonna be winning. Most of the time, it's gonna be like Thassa's Oracle or the Niv Mizzet Perun plus Tandem Lookout. Also, with infinite mana, before going into the sorceries, you got Finale of Devastation too.
Yep.
If you're playing green, you're probably gonna be playing this card. So, infinite mana, you can just kill everybody with your creatures. Yep. So yeah, that's basically the game plan of the deck. It's very, very straightforward. Like you're trying to get to one of your infinite mana combos, and then you can use Borborygmos and Fblthp to draw your whole deck, and then you can find one of the many combos that you have here for infinite damage, or Thassa's Oracle, or Finale of Devastation.
Yeah.
There's also we're talking about top end. You got like Consecrated Sphinx in here, so maybe this deck also wants to kind of like play like a little mid-range game. So like they have stuff like this, and then some of the other cards in here that we haven't mentioned yet. You have like Drift of Phantasms to tutor up your squee. You have Orcish Lumberjack, which I actually think is really good in a deck like this. I think I've seen a lot of people starting to play this card a lot more, especially when you have like 6-drops and you have stuff that you want to like ramp out pretty early. Like this can really get you there. It's almost like a continuous like Dark Ritual for for how many forests you have. So I'm seeing more people come out and play cards like this. Yeah, I mean, you're playing just like a lot of like the just like really good really
value
good
engines.
teamer stuff. That's
Yeah.
really it. Like
And
endurance.
this looks like a good stuff teamer deck. It's got some cute synergies with Neoform. So yeah, I mean, it's a pod deck. So you got Birthing Pod. You can pod up into things. You can just go Dockside Teamer loops and start bouncing your commander with
Right.
Teamer Sabertooth and just draw your whole deck that way. So there's quite a lot of win conditions
Yeah.
or like
There's
ways
win
to
conditions,
yeah
and there's it's just playing like a lot of the good spells,
yeah
that like blue, red, and green have to offer. I think that maybe
hmm
the aim for this deck was to get, just play a lot of like the really good combos and like
yeah
rely on like the good cards to kind of like carry you
yeah
to carry, it's like carry you all the way. Um, some cards that I find interesting, and I think that this is like a little synergy with the commander, but you're playing cards like Sylvan Safekeeper, which is sack a land, target creature gains Shroud. You're playing life from the loam in this deck, so maybe it's possible that they could like be going for like some value. You can like dredge life from the loam,
hmm
get the lands back to your hand to like sack to the commander. I find it interesting that Transmute Artifact is in this deck, but
yeah I do
then
too.
again,
I was just looking at that.
it's probably just for Birthing Pod mainly. But you're
I
also
mean,
playing
One
like
Ring too. Yeah,
the One Ring, because
one of those two.
The One Ring too. See, it's kind of weird because like Fblthp, it could be something where like they want to have redundancy for something like Drain of the Magistrate or something. Because like your commander is your like outlet, but then you're playing like Displacer Kitten, so you can like if you had like infinite casts on something, which you can't get from Food Chain.
hmm
You would have to get infinite cast from. Actually, I don't think this deck has a way to do infinite casts. That's like non-creature. The Lion's Eye Diamond Brain Freeze Breach combo is not in here. Breach is in here, but it doesn't have the other parts of the combo. So
hmm
I guess Displacer Kitten is really just like, okay, well, maybe I want to be able to, get good value from my ETB
I mean,
creatures.
yeah. I mean, as
But
long as you have Dockside Extortionist, so
yeah, you have Dockside. It's also non-land permanent, so it could be,
yeah,
the One Ring.
yeah.
You can bounce One Ring and keep drawing cards that way. Um,
Birthing Pod and Reset.
oh yeah. You can reset Birthing Pod too if you wanted to. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely there. So maybe it's
I
it's
feel
it's
like
trying to
it's.
find.
I feel like it's to me personally. I would want a little more condensed list. Like it just looks like it's going. Like I mean, obviously I mean, this thing got 12th place. So like
Right.
the pilot understands the deck a lot more than we do.
Oh yeah.
Uh, however, that being said, it just seems to me like you could condense the list a little bit, cut out a little bit of the fluff, and maybe hone in on like maybe 1, 2, or 3 ways to get infinite mana instead of looks like at least 5 that I could
Right.
see.
Right.
So like,
Yeah, it's doing like infinite mana stuff. It's like doing pod stuff. And then your win conditions. Well, I mean, once you get infinite mana, you can like cast your Nimbus Perun and like Tandem Lookout. But like, what happens if you destroys these in like response or something like that? Then it's like okay, like Thassa's Oracle. So I guess it's really counting on the fact that it has a lot of ways to get infinite mana and it has a lot of ways to use the mana.
mm-hmm,
And regardless, with infinite mana, you can always just draw your entire deck. So if you have your entire deck in your hand, then you can counter everything that like everybody has.
mm-hmm,
But they would probably try to deal with you. So they would try to deal with you before you're able to actually do some of these combos. So I think you're right. It could definitely be condensed. Maybe have some more like some more reliable combos. Well, the fact that it is like a food chain deck, I don't really know. Maybe they wanted to like have many ways to be able to do it. So like if one fails, they have something for like backup. But overall, I mean the rest of the deck is pretty much the same. Like like you're playing Eldritch Evolution Neoform, where I talked about how this is kind of like a pod deck to be able to get to something like your Niv Mizzet.
Yeah.
Your
Basically just
Team of Sabretooth.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, as far as there's nothing that's like really different from like the amount of stuff right here. Legolas's quick reflexes. We were talking about this before we started recording. Maybe it says untap target creature until the end of the turn gains hexproof reach, and whenever this creature becomes tapped, it deals damage equal to its power up to one target creature. It's possible that like this could be. I mean, it does have like split second, and it could save one of your creatures.
Mm.
But it's also, I don't know if we can be able to see it being used to like its like full potential. But it's still a good card. But maybe that can be cuttable in here. Pretty much everything else. You're playing. Pretty much everything else that's the same in the instance. Pretty standard artifact package here. Rather than probably one ring. The enchantments all pretty standard as well. The breach is really interesting.
It's more like breach is just a very powerful card to get things from your graveyard in general, but
right.
I think this deck could use a breach line. I think you could cut some of this fluff, like tomorrow Azami's Familiar. You can cut Felwar Stone. You can cut even Utopia Sprawl. You could add in a Lion's Eye Diamond, Brain Freeze. Just give yourself another way to work with Underworld Breach, because you are in those colors for sure. So you can be able to take advantage of like the breach lines here, especially if you're running Underworld Breach.
I'm wondering if there's a different combo that could be used instead of the Niv Mizzet Tandem Lookout, like Walking Ballista in place of this, and then like have maybe like another card, maybe like another spell for like protection or something like that, because there's multiple cards that could probably be like removed and like and like replaced for a more consistent, because I find it interesting that like it could also be a thing where like they just neoform or friggin' Eldritch Evolution into Niv Mizzet Perun. People are like always casting instants and sorcery, so it's possible that this could be something like be put in like the mid game to help like control the board and stuff like that. If someone else tries to maybe like someone else is like casting a lot of spells and like that like helps you draw cards. So it's like value, but I don't know if it is. It could be really good. And
one more thing I want to say is especially since this is a pod deck, you need to have. I think that this deck should be running a Hullbreaker Horror, because you could turn one of your Conservative Sphinx, Niv Mizzet Perrin into a win condition. Like you literally just go Hullbreaker Horror, go infinite mana, cast your Borborygmos and Fblthp, and win the game there. So, I personally just love Hullbreaker Horror as a way to do these draw shenanigans. Anyways, I would probably cut. I personally don't think this is a food chain deck. I like the flexibility of being able to do it, but it's hard to tutor. Like you don't really know, you can't really tutor enchantments well. It's also just not really it's not really pulling I feel like it's not pulling its weight personally. So I think that you can cut food chain and squee and add a Hullbreaker Horror. You cut Felwar Stone and Legolas's quick reflexes. You add Brain Freeze and Lion's Eye Diamond. I think that deck looks a lot better.
Yeah,
but that's just my personal opinion. Again, we're not bashing this deck.
Because you got 12th at this tournament.
Like we can't really say much about the deck. The pilot knows more about this than we do. This is just our personal, or my personal suggestions here.
The only real way to tutor up that food chain is through Drift of Phantasms.
Which
that's like the only
And then
The
you have
old-
to run
the-
Drift
the
of
wrong way.
Phantasms. Yeah, you might as well cut Food Chain Drift of Phantasms and Squee, and then you know, like if you're not running Food Chain or
Yeah,
Squee,
that's true. That's
then
true
you cut Drift of
because
Phantasms too.
yeah, because I mean drift, but you have so many creature tutors that you can find Tandem Lookout. So
Mm.
um,
Yeah, because Tandem Lookout is a 2-power creature, right?
it's
And you have
it's a
and you have all the
2/1. So you can find it with
you can fill in the
with
Imperial
Recruiter.
Recruiter
You
along with
have Invasion of Ikoria, Worldly
well,
Tutor.
Invasion gets a non-human.
Oh, it does.
But
Okay.
Worldly Tutor, Neoform, Eldritch Evolution,
Court of Callings in this deck.
Birthing Pod, Court of Calling, Worldly Tutor.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
Survival of the
That's
Fittest. Like
easy.
wait, I like the idea of having the Tandem Lookout in here still.
Yeah.
But,
so really, if you took out the food chain package of like Squee, you can cut Drift of Phantasms because you're not trying to find those.
yeah.
Put in Brain Freeze, Lion's Eye Diamond.
Brain Freeze, Lion's Eye Diamond, Hullbreaker Horror.
Yes, Hullbreaker Horror, which is really good. Especially since you have like you have these cards to be able to make infinite, like Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, Grim Monolith, Soul Ring. You have a lot of ways to be able to do that, and also too, like Hullbreaker is also another outlet to like return other cards to your hand to the like Recruiter, just like stuff like that. So yeah, that
Recruiter Manglehorn if you need to blow up a Grafdigger's Cage or
right. You could also, I mean, like we said before, you could cut tomorrow, but I would still like to see the tech that you have this card in here for.
I'm sure there's got to be some tech in there.
There's got to be something because you could cut this for something that could be probably more consistent. Like you can even put something like like something even like I don't know, like a reshape. If you want to like, it's like go for the pot again. That can be good. Maybe like another piece of removal in this deck. Something maybe like because since I don't know if there's like a lot of like there's a lot of like really relevant creatures. So you can add even something like a Pongify or something like that to this deck. Something that just can like deal with like creatures on the fly. But like
I like the idea of the Walking Ballista that you mentioned too.
Oh yeah, Walking Ballista was the other one. That was going to be potentially in place of like Nim Mizzet. You could cut tomorrow for like Walking Ballista, still keep Nim Mizzet Perun. And then it's just another.
I would cut tomorrow. Like tomorrow doesn't need to be in here for me. That might be a hot take for the brewer, but like
yes, Aiden,
I just can't imagine you potting into this tomorrow over the Consecrated Sphinx, Deadeye Navigator, Niv Mizzet Perun, or Perun, and you're just happy about that.
It just has to be something that you're using infinite mana for, and there's got to be something. There just has to be something for it. Which is why hopefully Aiden can give us some insight on that. But yeah, pretty much this deck it wants to go into like a lot of directions, and we just have our recommendations that we provided, and it just seems like a deck that it's like that like teamer value. So it's trying to find just like one combo and just try to get there while also trying to like you're in blue, you have protection. That's you can protect your combos. You can be able to like to interact with like other people. I think maybe the thing that well, see, the food chain combo works with freaking Borborygmos, So the thing is that maybe food chain could be something that could stay, because how would you constantly cast Borborygmos? Would it be because you can't do the Displacer Kitten.
You could do Hullbreaker Horror.
Oh
You
right,
could do
right.
Sabretooth.
Oh, that's right. Timber
Just
Sabretooth.
you
I'm
just
sorry.
you
That's what
just
it was.
bounce Borborygmos with Hullbreaker Horror or uh Temur Sabretooth.
Right. So maybe yeah. I think that's definitely fine. Cutting
Yeah.
food chain, and then you have Hullbreaker Horror, because it's like you gotta have infinite mana to do these things, and you have Deadeye, Dockside, Temur Sabretooth, Dockside, and then you'll have Hullbreaker Horror with your mana rocks, which
Yeah.
you're already gonna be birthing pod into that anyways, so that's definitely probably better than having the food chain in there, which like what Chris said, is very very hard to tutor, considering that you only have one way to tutor the food chain. Even though like Squee, it's like like someone kills it or exiles it, it doesn't freaking matter. Like someone could deal with the food chain, and then that makes Squee pretty much a useless card. So yeah, the Hullbreaker Horror would be really good to have in place of those things. But
I think so. That's my
yeah,
personal opinion.
That's just a couple of goons on here talking about this 12th place deck. But yeah, but that's gonna be the deck. I think that's probably like all the recommendations, because they play pretty much all the other really good cards in these colors. So I think that's pretty much all. It's pretty much all that all that it really is. Yeah, they're playing even they're playing like Carpet of Flowers for extra mana, Utopia Sprawl for extra mana, Wild Growth for extra mana, and then they have they're just playing like stuff to get out the stuff out, while also just getting like a ton of value. So but yeah, the biggest question that I have for you, Aiden, if you watch this tomorrow, as Zombie's Familiar, if you have any stories about this card, if it how did it do in the tournament? I would love to hear that. That
Yeah,
would be
I like to know that too, actually.
that would be very, very. Oh, also too. Sorry, I thought it was Oracle. What was the other one? So there's lots of ways to win. There's lots of ways to make infinite mana, and yeah, it just seems like a deck that people probably think, okay, well, what's the catch here? But there's not really a catch. You're just playing really good cards.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to just get infinite mana. So once again, Aiden, congratulations on your 12th place finish. Maybe you'll get first place the next time you go to a tournament. That'll be kind of sick.
Well, Aiden is the brewer of the deck.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
Sterling,
right.
Sterling is the one who. Yes.
I'm sorry. Yes. Wait. Sterling.
Sterling Baron is the one who.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Placed.
I'm sorry. I begin like I saw that it said it was borrowed from the brewer. But sorry, Sterling. I'm sorry. When you played this deck, how well did this card do here? How well did Tomorrow do? Please let me know. Sorry for.
Please let me know.
Yeah, please let me know. Sorry for calling you Aiden. Sterling, let us know. Let us know how you did with this deck. If you have a Moxfield, we'd love to reach out to you on that. But yeah, that's gonna be it for the Borborygmos and Fblthp deck. As always, Chris, how do you feel about this deck when it comes to the current meta?
This list, I think, can be tightened up a little bit. I think it's got a lot of great things going for it. However, I think that I think it'll be fine in the current meta. It might. I mean, it's got blue. Like when you have blue, you already have a chance. You already have a fighting chance, right?
Yep.
Well, you're already up the hill. You just gotta just gotta make sure you're fighting on the hill. But when you're playing non-blue decks, it's really hard. You're fighting an uphill battle already from the get-go. So yeah, you're in 3 colors, so you're playing some of the best quality cards for those 3 colors. And you've got an infinite mana outlet in the end zone and a card advantage.
Yep.
In the command zone, and a little bit of removal too if you need to. So I mean, I think this is a fine deck. I personally wouldn't bring it. However, I mean, I don't know. I probably would bring it actually.
Do you
I
do
would
you,
modify this list, and I would do some testing with it and then see.
do you think that this deck, because I think about the other teamer decks, you have like Thrasios Dargo, and you have like Malcolm Tana.
Yeah, Malcolm Tana.
Which I don't like. I don't think that well, when you're in teamer, like a lot of the combos kind of like they kind of overlap. But I think that like this one does some things that are like different.
Mm-hmm.
But like
well, Malcolm,
like Dargo specifically,
none of those that you talked about have card advantage in the command zone. So
it's true. It's true.
that you have
to.
they do have mana advantage, but they don't have card advantage.
The Thrasios deck.
Did you say Dargo Thrasios?
Yeah.
I thought you for some reason, I don't know why I thought you said Malcolm Thrasios.
Oh no.
But yeah, Dargo Thrasios. Yes. That is
because that one it's probably like a better Neoform deck, but it might be built differently. Because like if your goal was to get Dargo out a lot earlier, you're probably playing some different kinds of cards. But overall, like if you get like a very early Dargo out, and then you like Neoform into like Hullbreaker Horror, like that's basically gonna be it.
I don't think you can Neoform.
I
think Dargo is 7 mana.
Dargo's 7 mana.
Yeah, so you'd have to.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I'm sorry. Sorry. I was thinking about Eldritch Evolution.
Eldritch Evolution. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So you can like evolution into Hullbreaker Horror and be straight.
Yeah, that seems cleaner to me, in my opinion. Dargo seems easy to like. Literally, you cast a Jeweled Lotus and crack it. You already decrease his cost by.
That's freaking
5, I think, without a land.
Yeah,
because you get 3, and then you get 2 reduction.
It's gross.
You can. I know. Dargo's.
I love Dargo.
I do too.
But yeah. That might be a better like pod deck. You could probably take this same deck and just make it Thrasios Dargo, and then take out a lot of the fluff cards to like support getting Dargo out early, and then you're probably gonna end up maybe with like a more consistent, which that deck is fairly consistent. It's it's not like the best deck, but it's like one of the best teamer decks I think that I've seen out there, and as terms of like results and like popularity. Malcolm Tana, I don't think is there, but really that's really like you got like the Glinthorn Buccaneer combo, and then you're playing all of like the freaking teamer combos basically. So that one probably also could be could be potentially better than this, but I think that with this, like it's like you're right. When people see the fact that when this enters, you draw a card, they're probably deducing in their mind like, okay, well, they're probably playing like all the infinite mana combos, maybe even like Food Chain, but then you're playing cards like Tomorrow, a Zombie's Familiar, and they're like, what's going on here? But yeah, so yeah, like it's probably it's still definitely not bad against the meta. It's very similar to those other teamer decks. Yeah. Do you have anything else about this deck that you want to say?
No, except congratulations on getting 12th place on this event, and looking forward to hearing from you about Tomorrow, a Zombie's Familiar.
Yep. Yes, please, Sterling, please let us know.
Well, Scott Sterling.
Well, y'all, that's gonna do it for us here at the Brothers War with our Brewers Advantage. Borborygmos and Fblthp both plays at this tournament. Hopefully in the future we can be able to continue covering some of these. We had a comment about going over some tournaments in like Europe and Japan, I believe. So I was thinking about looking into that. But yeah,
Really? I didn't know that.
We had a comment about that recently.
Wait.
But yeah, if y'all have any thoughts on this deck, let us know in the comments. Let us know what kind of recommendations you would put in, some things that you would take out. Don't forget to hit us up in our Discord. The link will be in the description. Thank you to all of our patrons, everybody that supports us. We just released our podcast this past week. Go check out our episode on card advantage in white for cEDH.
Yeah.
Beginning a lot of really good conversation on that one. So yeah. With that being said, my name is Ryan. This is Chris. We're the Brothers War. We'll see y'all later.
Peace out.